Welcome again, Maverick fans, to the only show that brings you everything you want to know about Maverick Sports. I'm Tori Pantalian. Today, we're going to take a special look at the biggest change to happen to Maverick athletics in years, the move to a new conference. The old North Central Conference has faded away, and the Mavs are moving south to join the Mid-America Intercollegiate Athletic Association, the MIAA. We'll take a quick look at all the member schools in the new conference and get some comments from the Maverick coaching staff on what the move means to their programs. We'll also look back at the great success that UNO has had in the old NC as well. But first, let's catch up on the last few sports that still played in May. First, we'll look at Tim Nelson's golf team. The Mavs were in Houston for the NCAA Division II Championships, finishing 7th. They were led by Lynn Mulligan's final round 78. Mulligan, along with fellow seniors Sarah Wolf and Lindsey Newton, say goodbye to their UNO careers. In softball, the North Central Conference champion Mavs went 2-2 in the NCAA North Regional, ending the season at 44-13. The Mavs grabbed several postseason honors. Senior Leslie Svoboda made first-team All-American, while 6 teammates were named to the NCC Commissioner's Academic Honor Roll. Congrats to Brianna Cottadella, Chanel Reeves, Allison Jurgensen, Beth Harris, Melissa Negretti, and Kristen Wellwood. Meanwhile, the UNO track team finished 6th in the rain-shortened NCC meet, but the Thin Clads are in the Division II Nationals in Sioux Falls as of the taping of this show. We wish them, of course, continued success. Bob Harrell's baseball team fell short of winning the Division II Central Regional, losing in the title game. The Mavs put Evan Porter, Chris Weimer, Chris Kessinger, and Dustin Coca on the all-regional first team. Tim Huber was named to the second team. Kessinger also grabbed NCC Pitcher of the Year honors. This was the final year of competition for the North Central Conference. As some member schools opted to move up to Division I play, the remaining programs struggled to hold the conference together. In the end, the NCC collapsed and the remaining schools moved on to other conferences. The North Central Conference was first formed in the fall of 1921, and incidentally, the Municipal University of Omaha was a member from 1935 to 1942 before World War II suspended all sports. The conference joined the NCAA in 1950 and since that time produced 43 Division II national champion teams and more than 300 individual national titles. In just the past 7 years, 12 national team champs came from the NCC. Women's basketball was especially strong in the conference, producing 9 national champs in the past 16 years. NCC teams made it to championship play 11 straight years from 91 to 2001. This was serious competition. UNO rejoined the NCC in the fall of 1977 and worked hard to make its mark in the conference. The final year of the NCC was made up of 7 member schools, familiar names like Augustana, St. Cloud State, and Mankato, spread over a wide range of territory in Minnesota, North and South Dakota, and of course Nebraska. It made for some very long road trips, folks. In the very last year of competition, UNO left the conference with regular season or tournament titles in all our men's sports: football, basketball, wrestling, and baseball. The UNO women, meanwhile, took home the swimming and softball titles and finished 2nd in the conference in volleyball and in soccer. But to really understand UNO's role in the NCC, you need to talk to someone who was there. So we've been very blessed. We invited, and it was accepted. Former UNO Athletic Director and Omaha Sports Hall of Famer Don Leahy is on the show today. And Don, I should call you Mr. Leahy. I can never get used to calling you Don, but you won't let me call you Mr. Leahy. First, thanks for joining us on Maverick Sports. And secondly, we're seeing a good friend. Sadly, we have to say goodbye to a good friend.
A very good friend, Tori, but I think we're most fortunate in that we are going into a league that is very, very similar to the old North Central Conference, a national power in Division II athletics. But at the same time, as you said, it's tough to leave. It really is.
Yeah, my first year in Omaha was UNO's, I guess, re-entrance back to the NCC with Sandy Buda, had that great football team, Bob Hansen with the basketball team. I mean, it was just incredible. And having been experienced as a play-by-play announcer both on TV and radio for UNO, I understand what they say when they say I-29 Blues, but it was a love affair, actually.
It really was. And, you know, when I came to UNO in 1974, I was hired by Ron Roskins at that time, and he was in the process of broadening the scope of UNO, and I went to him and I said it'd be a good idea, I think, to join the North Central Conference if we could become accepted, because it gives us a peer institution of state universities, and I thought that was going to be good for UNO and UNO athletics, and Ron agreed, and we pursued getting into that conference. And you talk about I-29, we got in the car and we went all the way up from going Morningside, South Dakota State, North Dakota State. And I was pleasantly surprised. I was very concerned immediately because we would be the 9th team in the league at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And but the reception I got really was a most pleasant surprise, and we were accepted into the league right away.
Of course, the other teams were probably sorry they let us in after we started to play on the field and on the court.
Well, I think we provided some competition for them, Torrey. Let's say it that way.
Well, you know, before we came on the show, you had mentioned that one big reason for NCC membership was it's tough enough being an independent at any level, but Division II independent, it was almost killing us.
It was basically impossible, Torrey. Division II, you're going to play teams that you can't beat, mm-hmm. and you're not going to be able to schedule schools that people are going to watch. So you're really at the mercy of everybody, financially and caliber of teams. And so it was going to be a tough job for UNO. As a matter of fact, Torrey, I think I know of only one team in the country that can operate as an independent, and that's Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, yeah. Well,
even in Division I.
True. Well, I want to thank you for taking time. I know it was a quick segment, but I really appreciate it.
All right, Torrey. Good to be with you always.
Thanks for being with us. Mr. UNO, Don Leahy. Most of the NCC teams are moving to the Northern Sun Conference, but UNO will be heading south to join the Mid-America Intercollegiate Athletic Association, the MIAA, which is a collection of schools in Kansas and Missouri. Before we take a look around the new neighborhood, let's hear what some of the Maverick coaches have to say about the Old North Central.
The North Central Conference had lost some of its grandeur. It really had. You know, with North Dakota State leaving, North Dakota U, South Dakota State, Northern Colorado, you know, those were traditionally pretty strong programs in all sports. We needed the MIAA, and we're so fortunate that we're able to get into that thing, because now we haven't lost a beat. We're right back where that NCC used to be.
So the NCC was a great league, and you know, it was for years. It was, you know, from a men's basketball standpoint, it was fully funded. It was also, you know, the most attended, you know, Division II basketball conference in the nation for about the last 15 or 16 years. So, you know, a lot of great rivalries, a lot of good friends up there. You know, a lot of great memories up and down those highways. You know, and it was just a really good basketball conference from top to bottom. There was never a weak link, and every single night you just had a fight and battle and scratch. And so that was really good about the league, and we'll miss that, but we expect a lot of that going now into the MIAA.
You know, I look back on the NCC with, you know, it was very, very good for us and very, very good for our soccer program. And we had success. You know, we won some conference championships and had a lot of kids make all conference and things like that. So the experience with the NCC was very good for our program.
Competing in the North Central Conference in volleyball has been always something that I take a lot of pride in. Not just competing, but challenging for conference championships, challenging to be one of the best teams in that conference.
The North Central Conference predominantly has had an enormous amount of success in women's basketball, multiple national titles, and just some extremely, you know, powerful teams and great coaches. So it's been a very fortunate experience for me kind of coming in and now transitioning into the MIAA, because what you see is a very similar situation.
The NCC to me was a great conference to be in. Not only the competition was extremely good, because you have 4 or 5 teams that are always top 20 in the nation, so you're swimming against very good athletes and diving against very good competitors. But what was nice from my end is a lot of those coaches were very stable in their programs, and so they were there year in and year out, and so you're able to forge good relationships.
Not that NCC wasn't good, it was good, but it started to get depleted when the other teams jumped to Division I. Northern Colorado, for an example, and North Dakota State. South Dakota dropped baseball, and then South Dakota State went Division I. So there's Morningside also, I believe, went to NAIA, and so there were 5 additional teams. Now we did pick up Minnesota Duluth, but we went from a 10-team league basically to a 5 and then 6-team league. And anytime you do that, I think the strength of your schedule goes down.
So the last couple of years fell off because we didn't have a conference tournament at the end of the year because of numbers. So that was disappointing, because in the past years when we had a conference tournament at the end, so you got prepared for everything for the NCAA tournament then and so forth. Because you played a conference tournament against three of the best teams in the conference, it gave you that little edge when you went to the regional, NCAA regionals. So.
The NCC was a great conference for UNO. It's just run its course. Too many teams have left the conference, and it's basically dried up and blown away.
Well, we're not going to miss the trips to Duluth and Fargo, I can tell you that. And St. Cloud, those are ones I don't think any of us look forward to.
Our average drive one way was 430 miles. And so that's a lot of bus time. And going into the MIAA, the average drive one way will be 220 miles.
UNO's new conference hails back to 1912 when 14 Missouri schools organized for competition and began the Missouri Intercollegiate Athletic Association. In 1957, the conference joined the NCAA and over the years won 13 national team championships and 149 individual national titles. In 1989, 2 Kansas schools joined the conference, so the MIAA now stood for the Mid-America Intercollegiate Athletic Association. Over the years, of course, member schools have come and gone, but 3 of the original schools remain through their name changes. Today, there are 6 Missouri schools in the MIAA, 4 Kansas schools, and now 1 from Nebraska. It's considered a top-tier Division II conference, offering championships in 8 sports, each for men and women. Last year, the MIAA placed 6 schools in the top 50 for the U.S. Sports Academy Directors' Cup, more than any other NCAA Division II conference, and we expect our Mavericks to fit right in. Let's meet the member schools of the MIAA. The University of Central Missouri is one of the founding schools in the conference. It's located in Warrensburg, about 60 miles southeast of Kansas City. School enrollment, about 11,000. The school mascot is the Mule. Women's teams are the Jennies. UCM just upset our Mavs in the NCAA regional tournament in baseball, and just like UNO, it's strong in practically every sport. Truman State is also a charter school of the MIAA, located in Kirksville, Missouri, about 160 miles east of St. Joe. Enrollment at Truman stands at about 6,000. The team mascot's the Bulldog. Truman is especially strong in soccer, volleyball, and softball, and has a nationally ranked swim team. The last old-timer in the conference is Northwest Missouri State. The Bearcats, we know them from our packed house win of football last fall. Northwest Missouri is located in Maryville, about 40 miles east of Rockport. Enrollment stands about 6,500, and these Bearcats do have a strong football team, but they're pretty good in men's basketball too, and tennis for men and women. The other Bearcats in the conference belong to Southwest Baptist University. Women are called the Lady Bearcats. Southwest Baptist is located in Bolivar, Missouri, about 30 miles north of Springfield. They joined the MIAA back in 1986. Enrollment stands about 3,600, but these Bearcats can play some pretty good tennis and soccer. Missouri Western State University is just a stone's throw away in St. Joe. The Griffins of Missouri Western joined the conference in 1989. Enrollment about 5,000. The Griffins are strong in women's basketball. Their football team also finished 3rd in the conference last year. Meanwhile, Missouri Southern State University joined the conference in 1989. Enrollment around 6,000, and they're located in Joplin, Missouri, 65 miles west of Springfield. This will be the longest road trip for the Mavericks, about 350 miles. The Lions of Missouri Southern have had some recent success in soccer, volleyball, and track and field. Pittsburgh State was one of the first schools outside Missouri to join the conference back in 1989. The school is south of Kansas City, about 125 miles in Pittsburgh, Kansas. Enrollment right around 7,000. Of course, their mascot, everybody knows this, Gus the Gorilla. Only college in America to have a gorilla mascot. A name that actually referred to their rowdy fans back in the 1920s. Yeah, it just might help because the Gorillas placed second in 4 conference sports last year: football, cross country, track, and field for both men and women. 3rd in volleyball, but they took the title in softball. Washburn University is in Topeka, just 60 miles west of Kansas City. The school's enrollment, about 7,000. They also joined the MIAA in 1989. The men are called Ichabods after the school's namesake, Ichabod Washburn, but the women are called Lady Blues. Washburn's very strong in women's athletics. The Lady Blues were number 1 in the conference last year in tennis, soccer, and volleyball. 2nd at basketball, they came in 3rd at softball. In 1991, the Hornets of Emporia State joined the MIAA. Emporia, Kansas, southwest of KC, about 110 miles. Enrollment just over $6,000. The Hornets are strong in baseball and softball and have some pretty good basketball skills as well. They'll also give you a run in cross country, pardon the pun, as well as tennis. Tigers of Fort Hays State University, located in distant Hays, Kansas, south of Kearney, about 150 miles. Enrollment stands about 9,000 at this Kansas school, and they just joined the conference in 2006. Tigers place in the middle of the conference so far, but they'll play you hard in basketball and baseball. So, what do our coaches think about this new conference? Well, let's find out.
The MIAA is the elite conference in Division II. It is the Big 12. It is the Big 10 in Division II.
It is a powerhouse, we believe, in volleyball and in most sports that we're going to be competing in.
Well, the MIAA is one of the oldest and most respected conferences in the Division II.
The MIAA move was definitely a very important and strong move for our athletic department. And so from my perspective, we have to look beyond just swimming and look what's best for the whole athletic department.
We want to be a part of the conference that's one of the best in the nation for softball, and why I say it's tough is our region is one of the toughest to get out of. With that, we have 4 MIAA teams in this region of 8 heading into this, and so it shows what kind of caliber softball they have down there.
The teams down there are really good. You know, we're hoping to come in and make some sort of a splash, and but if we play as well as we can and have a little bit of luck and play well together, we might have a chance down there.
In volleyball, there's going to be 7 out of the 11 teams that will be ranked in the top 25 in the country next year, and who have a legitimate chance of winning that conference and going on to NCAA play and making it to the Final Four.
We've won the regional 6 years in a row, so they know that, and they've played us. And I think the target's more on our back than us targeting someone else.
I think one of the great things about us going into the MIAA is that we have an automatic built-in 20 in-region games. Now everybody talks about conference, but for us in Division II basketball, those region games are what are critical. When you start looking at regional rankings, that's how you get into the national tournament.
Central Missouri has always been great in track and field. It's been one of their marquee sports. They have great tradition, great history.
Washburn is very good. Central Missouri is very good. Truman is very good. Missouri Southern, all those schools, Southwest Baptist, they've all been in the NCAA regional, one or the other, the last couple of years.
For a long time this past year, Truman State was ranked number 1 in the country. Washburn made it to the Final Four out of the region. Central Missouri, long-standing volleyball program there. Pittsburgh State, up-and-coming program.
Emporia State's going to be tough for softball. Northwest Missouri's always been tough with it. Central Missouri's coming on strong.
Central Missouri's and Emporia State. They have taken turns beating the heck out of each other.
Well, some of the perennial ones probably is Northwest Missouri State, Central Missouri State. A team that's really made some waves here in the last couple of years is Southwest Baptist. They've really done a good job. So, some of those teams right there. Fort Hays was also in the NCAA tournament last year, and Pittsburgh State was in the NCAA tournament.
We open with Washburn, so that's our first game, our first conference game. And there's not any better team to open with. They're always a perennial power.
The MIAA has now 4 teams that sponsor wrestling. There's us, there's Central Missouri, there's Truman State, and there's Fort Hays State. Northwest Missouri State is talking about adding wrestling.
The downside is that only one of those schools has swimming, but on the upside, that one school is national champions Truman State.
We're kind of right now a sprint-oriented program, which would fit in real good with the MIAA.
We have actually played an average of 20 plus games in the MIAA since I've been here, because classically those are the guys that win it and go to the World Series.
It's a familiar conference with us. We always play doubleheaders against Northwest Missouri, Emporia State, Missouri Western, and we always see them as much as we can during the regular season to play in region games.
We've already got a rivalry going with Northwest Missouri in football. I mean, there's tremendous. Our biggest crowds are when we play Northwest Missouri in football. So there's some of those rivalries already established.
From our record there, I think we played 23 games last year and 25 in that league the year before. So we finished second in that conference now 2 years in a row.
Believe me, we're going to go into that conference as a marked team.
At our national tournament, we got all of the teams and the coaches from the MIAA together, and we are starting next year the first tournament. We're going to bring all the teams together, and we're going to wrestle a round-robin dual meet against each other.
I'm not sure what's going to happen in our new league. There's so many unknown entities out there right now that that we're not going to know for sure as we get through, you know, the first year of the league.
Our job is going to be, or what we look at it as being, well, let's just go out and do our thing.
UNO as a program, as an athletic department program, I think that we can finish in every single sport in the top 4 in the MIAA. I think that that is a legitimate goal for us, and that would be also our goal in volleyball.
But we're going to continue to wrestle the Minnesota States, the St. Clouds, the Augustanas. We're going to continue to wrestle because they're powers in Division II. So we're going to kind of keep our connection with the North Central Conference.
The schools that were in the North Central Conference are going to get together still and have a championship meet at the end of the year.
Overall, the move to the MIAA is perfect. It's great, I think, for all the sports, you know. There's more teams down there. We get to go south. The competition is good. The conference is a solid, great conference. I think it's going to be the best thing probably ever happened to UNO athletics, at least in a long time.
Well, that's the word from just about every Maverick coach. Pat Burns was a little too busy to talk on camera, but he tells me by phone that he's excited about the new competition in the conference, and we wish him continued success for that football team. Of course, Coach Tim Nelson was with the golf team in Houston and unavailable for comment, but we still need to hear from the one coach who'll gain from the move to the MIAA. Reporter Eris Rogel asked Coach Bill Nichols how he's handling the addition of men's tennis as a new Maverick sport.
The MIAA asked UNO if they could start a men's team. Not every school in the MIAA has men's tennis, so they were at a loss by having 5 teams. So with us joining and starting a men's team, that will make the MIAA a viable tennis conference on the men's side.
As soon as the men's tennis program starts up next fall, I'm going to be moving more with the men's program. Again, helping with practices, taking a little more leading role. It'll be a great way to have the first men's program at University of Nebraska Omaha. I'm excited to be part of it.
Men's tennis, women's tennis, there's quite a bit of difference in those 2 games. The men's play is much faster, it's more powerful, so it's going to be a challenge for me to continue to jump back and forth and deal with both teams at the same time.
Good luck to Coach Nichols. It looks like Southwest Baptist may be the team to beat in men's tennis. Now, current UNO Athletic Director David Miller, who, by the way, sets the record for most guest appearances on Maverick Sports this year, is here to explain how this new conference will affect the success of Maverick Sports. David, first, thanks again for taking time out from your schedule. Welcome back to Maverick Sports.
Well, thank you.
We don't have a prize for you as the most returning guest, but it's nice to have you.
You know, that was part of the incentive. I thought I was getting one.
We'll have to talk to Chancellor Christensen about it.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, we talked earlier in the season in the show about the MIAA. Now it's reality. So it's a little different than, okay, we'll play a couple of teams from the conference. Now we got to step up. But if we're going to have to leave a conference like the NCC, MIAA is not a bad place to land.
Oh, you're so right. I have said this since day one. I think the MIAA is the best Division II conference in the country. And when you bring UNO into the mix, it makes that conference even stronger. But when you go in a conference championship in the MIAA starting next year, you're going to have one heck of a team. No question about it.
Well, you know, I know that even in the past, in the mid-days, I'll say, of the NCCC, I remember going to Missouri Western to play basketball. Northwest has always been on our schedule, it seems like, for football. But now that we're in the conference, I think that familiarity, even with classes that have long since graduated, but just the familiarity with that opponent, I think that's got to be invaluable for us.
Oh, no question about it. I know our coaches, our fans, the community is excited about this new conference. We're going to renew rivalries. We're going to, start some new traditions. Very, very exciting. Fans are looking forward to it. And like I said, you got to bring it every single game in this league. There is no question about that.
Well, you have to be concerned with things the average fan doesn't. Travel, budget, and all that. I know going to Grand Forks and Fargo is not a simple trip, or going to Greeley, but at the same time, we're going to Fort Hays. We've already talked about some of the other schools, Pittsburgh to play, the Gorillas. How does all this come into play from a conference standpoint for the Mavericks?
Well, from a budget standpoint, there are some pluses and some minuses of joining this new conference. But when I think about joining this new conference, I think about it, what I'm excited about is from a fan's perspective. The travel to Missouri Western, Northwest Missouri State, down to Washburn, even to Joplin to Missouri Southern, really is not a bad drive on a Saturday afternoon to go down and take in some UNO action while on the road. Same thing. Omaha, I think, will be a destination city for a number of our programs. I think you'll see folks from Maryville and Pittsburgh, Kansas, coming up here to Omaha and spending the weekend up here, taking in a football game, going to the zoo, taking in the museum, those type of things.
Okay, well, real quick, we got about 30 seconds. Give me final thoughts about going to the MIAA.
Exciting, new challenge for our coaches, new challenge for our student athletes, but our coaches, our student athletes, they're up for it, they're excited about it, and it's going to be exciting.
Well, I want to take time to thank you for coming on. It's only fitting you'd be on the last show of the season since you were on the first show, and we look forward to having you again next year.
Well, thank you.
All right, David Miller, Athletic Director at UNO. Well, that's a wrap for the first season of Maverick Sports on TKN. Special thanks to all the staff at UNO Television, contributing students from the School of Communication, and especially all the helpful folks in the UNO Athletics for making this an exciting and enjoyable premiere season for us. If you missed any of today's show or you want to review the information that we threw at you, catch a replay of the show at these times in the next few weeks or visit tknomaha.org on the web for a program guide. We'll see you again in August for a preview of the fall sports here at UNO. In the meantime, hang high the crimson and black. Have a great summer. Bye-bye.